There's an old place in Cleveland, Ohio called Fulton Elementary. The school has been sitting empty in a rough neighborhood for nearly 13 years, and the building itself is 92 years old. Locals have complained for years, saying the abandoned school looks awful, brings crime, and hurts the value of their homes. In May 2023, a YouTuber named Chris Hill from the channel Urbex Hill uploaded a video of his second trip inside the locked-up school. His first exploration was back in 2022, but 2 years later, he decided to return, completely alone, at 1 a.m.
Wow. The decay is crazy in here.
The moment the footage begins, it's clear Robert Fulton Elementary is in a league of its own compared to most abandoned locations. What makes it so unsettling is knowing that just a little more than a decade ago, children filled these rooms, learning at their desks and racing through the hallways, and now the entire place feels more like a horror set than a school. The stillness, the thick shadows, and the severe decay give the building a disturbing atmosphere that keeps most people far away at night, especially if they're alone. For a site empty for only 13 years, the damage inside Robert Fulton Elementary is far worse than many structures forgotten for much longer. Chris, however, isn't bothered at all. He moves deeper into the dark passages, yet there's no sign of anyone else inside. He presses on through the icy quiet. The upper floor contains rooms with floors so unstable they could collapse, but Chris carefully avoids spots that shift or crumble under pressure. After exploring the higher levels for about 15 minutes, he heads down into the basement, easily the most ruined area in the building. Down in the darkness, he spots signs suggesting someone might be living there. Even more unsettling, he comes across what seems to be a boiler room completely filled with water. And after some time, suddenly, a heavy slam echoes from somewhere inside the building, making it obvious that Chris isn't wandering the school by himself. When he walks into one of the old classrooms, he spots a chilling message scrawled across the chalkboard: "Never explore alone." There's also a torn sign taped to the doorway telling him to stay out. Even with those warnings staring him in the face, he steps inside, only to notice more clues suggesting that someone has been living in the room. From that moment on, Chris's return to Robert Fulton Elementary takes a far darker and more unsettling direction. Terrified after hearing that horrifying scream, he bolts out of the school as fast as he can, praying the person behind it wasn't chasing after him. If you pause the footage at the right moment, you can actually see the faint silhouette of the screaming figure when Chris pulls back the curtain in that room. Later that night, while going through everything frame by frame, he noticed something even worse. The moment he first stepped inside the building, his camera recorded a shadowy figure slipping into a nearby room, something he didn't realize while he was there. No one knows where that man went, but judging from the strange sounds Chris heard throughout the night, it's very possible the man had been following him quietly the whole time. As terrifying as the scream was, the truth is that Chris had unknowingly stepped into someone's living space, and from the squatter's point of view, having a stranger rip open the curtain must have been just as horrifying. Encounters like this can turn violent fast, but luckily, Chris escaped unharmed once again. During October 2019, an explorer from the YouTube channel Uncharted Travel decided to attempt one of his riskiest solo missions, spending a full night inside a deserted prison called Camp Bison, buried far out in the Canadian backcountry where no signs of life remain. His plan was to push through the woods for 2 hours, reach the rotting compound before dusk, search through the ruins, and settle down to sleep in one of the cells. But he started his trek too late in the day, with only a few hours of light still hanging over the forest. The trail was rough and barely visible, shaped only by wild animals and the far-off sound of a river rushing somewhere beyond the trees. Along the way, he passed a beaver dam, a small warning that the land belonged to nature alone. The abandoned prison sat hidden in the Wanaptai River Valley, built in 1958 and meant to hold around 850 inmates. It could once be reached only by train until it closed in 1975 and was left to decay for decades. Reaching the grounds, he found the place massive. Rows of collapsing cells, destroyed staircases, and long passages that echoed every step he took. The air was damp and cold, carrying a stale scent of rust.
This place is gonna get super creepy at night.
As he pushed deeper into the broken complex, he began noticing odd clues that someone had been there before. Scattered paintball shells, empty casings, and faint traces that looked like old police or military drills. Moving further inside, the shadows thickened until his flashlight was the only thing keeping him from being swallowed by total darkness. Remains of the past were everywhere. Cafeteria tables flipped over, rusted metal doors barely hanging on, and layers of graffiti left by whoever dared to wander inside before him. The echo in the building twisted every sound, bouncing off the cold walls and making it feel like footsteps were always trailing behind him. When dusk finally settled in, he chose the cafeteria as his resting spot, hoping its spot in the middle of the prison would offer some kind of safety for the night. The whole place shifted. Wind howled through shattered glass, and rain pattered across the rusted roof like quiet tapping fingers. When he later stepped down into the basement and the old boiler tunnels, his nerves began to unravel as he found the passageways flooded, ruined, and stretching beneath the entire structure. And the moment he thought he heard something shifting somewhere in the darkness, he spun around and rushed back to the small safety of his camp.
Some sort of tunnel system. I wonder where it goes. Oh, now this is creepy. There's something at the end of the hallway that keeps making noise.
When he finally got back to his shelter, the downpour was pounding hard, and a sharp wave of fear rolled over him as he realized how completely cut off he was. No phone signal, no support, and nobody close enough to hear if something went wrong. Crawling into his tent just past midnight, he felt the temperature dive, and small noises from outside reached him, light footsteps, scraping, faint movement he tried to blame on dripping water or junk shifting in the wind. But then a sound came that drained the warmth from his body. Low snarls circling the tent, first from one coyote, then another, until a whole group joined in, their cries echoing through the empty prison and bouncing off the walls like they came from everywhere. He listened to them move closer, sniffing along the tent's edges, their claws clicking softly against the concrete. When he yelled to scare them off, the reaction was the opposite. The circling slowed, tightened, and grew more deliberate. And the moment one of them brushed against the fabric, he knew he had no choice. Gripping his knife and flashlight, he burst out into the dark, shouting, and the animals scattered with their eyes flashing white for a moment before slipping into the shadows.
I can't wait to just put on some dry socks and go to bed. It's been a long day. I'm in my tent and I keep hearing something outside. Sounds like it's in the corridor, one of the corridors. Maybe an animal, I don't know. Of course now it's... Did you hear that? I hope that mic picked that up. Holy, there's a coyote outside. Right outside my tent. Hey buddy, you want to leave me alone? It's gonna be a long night. I just want to go to sleep. Go away! Go away! There's something growling at me. I got my bear mace. Get my knife.
After a while, he understood staying on the ground floor was impossible. So he packed up quickly and dashed through the shadowed passages, climbing a hidden maintenance ladder until he reached the rooftop, where he shoved the access door shut behind him. From that height, the sounds were even clearer. The scrape of nails, the low rumbling growls, the pack wandering through hallways as they searched every corner for him. He spent the whole night listening to their movements drifting up from below. When morning light finally crept over the prison, the coyotes had vanished, and the whole place looked strangely gentle beneath a thin layer of frost, his tent stiff and frozen. He later admitted it was the first time he honestly believed he might not survive an outing. That night shattered the boundary between adventure and desperation, reminding him just how unforgiving true isolation can be. The broken walls around him did nothing to keep nature out. And in the end, it wasn't spirits or old memories that stayed with him, but the knowledge that the wild is alive, watching, and patient. Out there, you're never really alone. Something always waits in the dark. A well-known YouTuber who operates the channel Baker X, Derek often films his motorcycle trips and unplanned outings. But in October 2019, he posted a video of an abandoned house visit that turned out to be far more disturbing than anything he had ever filmed. The footage begins with him heading home when something unusual catches his eye. A forgotten home, rotting away on top of a high hill, sitting completely alone with nothing but empty land stretching in all directions. From the moment he notices it, you can hear him talking to himself, unsure if climbing up is a good idea, even making nervous jokes about accidentally running into someone living there or walking straight into trouble. But even with those doubts, his curiosity wins, and he chooses to check out the strange property. After pushing through the steep climb, he reaches the top and realizes there are actually two buildings. One is burned completely to the ground, nothing left but the outline of its base, while the second stands intact but severely deteriorated, sitting quietly against the gloomy sky like something taken right out of a nightmare.
A really bad idea to do that. Holy shit. Oh my god, this is cool.
The moment he steps inside the remaining house, the explorer becomes unsettled by how unnaturally large and distorted the interior feels, especially a massive bedroom that looks wrong in its shape and layout. At the start, things remain creepy but calm enough. He carefully moves through the silent, collapsing rooms, documenting everything with his camera while trying to steady his nerves. As he travels deeper, the flooring grows more unstable, bending under his weight. Some rooms stay entirely black, even though it's broad daylight outside, and the shadows seem to cling like they're hiding something. His voice keeps wavering as he explores the bedrooms, repeatedly noting how the place feels like the ideal backdrop for something terrible to happen. Then, something unexpected occurs. In one of the rooms, he begins whispering a strange list of animals to himself. Sheep, goat, horse, dog, pig, snake, as if repeating something from memory. Then, he suddenly goes silent. His face changes instantly, frozen, like he just heard a faint sound, or realized that he may not be alone inside the rotting house.
Dude, this is how horror movies start. Oh my god, it's so dark in these rooms. Dude, these bedrooms had fucking walkout. Oh my god, the floor feels like it's gonna fucking collapse. Hello? Hello? Sleep, goat, horse, dog, pig, snake. Fuck a sheep, goat, horse, dog, pig, snake, bird, hermaphrodite. Dude, I think I hear somebody. I think I hear something.
The moment that strange presence hits him, instinct takes over completely. His breath turns sharp and uneven as a sudden, unclear noise, too faint for the camera to pick up, slams him into full-blown panic, forcing him to race toward the exit despite the unstable floors around him. The fear gripping him isn't caused by anything he saw. It's the chilling belief that he isn't alone in that remote house, mixed with the crushing tension that makes him feel hunted. In his desperate dash to escape, he falls hard in the hallway, but the fear is so overpowering he barely reacts, scrambling up at once and running until he finally reaches the outside light. Once he's out, trying to steady his breathing, he mutters that he'll never return to that place, calling the house unbelievably creepy. During July 2024, a well-known explorer, Chris Condon, and his friend set out to film inside an old Catholic school that had been abandoned for years. But what began as a simple walkthrough quickly spiraled into something far darker when they noticed something disturbing on the ground, what looked very much like real blood.
Into another abandoned school. Hopefully no one calls the cops on us, that'd be bad. But this one should be pretty cool. Last time I was here, I didn't make a video over it because it was pitch black, but this time I've heard that things have been broken, boards and such, so it's not pitch black anymore. But we're gonna find out.
I like this because it looks like post-apocalyptic. I think that shit's dope. Move, bitch.
I wish there were like still seats in here. You said this is a Christian school, it's Catholic.
Is it Catholic?
Yeah, because Christians don't do the confession thing. I swear I used to go to a Christian church.
I'm not religious, so.
My mom is, and she took me to a Christian church.
Too much cocaine. Ooh, there's some over here.
Oh, that's the gym. Which is, dude, that looks like blood.
I don't know if it's real.
Wait, is there anything on the ceiling? Nah, that's definitely not from the ceiling.
No, someone could say something about it.
Dude, it's just, there's no way that is set up.
What do you think, they killed like 4 people?
That's not that much blood.
Those are dog tracks.
Yeah, or raccoon.
You see that body. Just kidding, that was the last school. Fuck this.
No? It's not that way.
Check the body for, check the faces for bodies.
The auditorium's this way.
Hold me up. I like this. Oh, dude. Yeah. This shot right here is dope.
The exploration started like any other for Urban Rock Dove, but it slowly twisted into something far more dangerous than he ever expected. What should have been a simple trip to film a piece of abandoned history turned into a moment where he genuinely feared for his safety. The site was an old power facility said to have been abandoned sometime in the 1900s after a severe, unexplained event. When Urban Rock Dove and his friend reached the perimeter, the emptiness made their skin crawl. No locks, no warnings, no signs of security. They entered anyway, aiming to reach one of the enormous cooling towers deep inside the property. The floors crumbled under them, and parts of the walls looked ready to collapse, but they continued exploring until they made it inside. Once they wrapped up inside the tower, they moved toward the biggest building connected by an old raised walkway stretching across the site. That was the moment trouble arrived. As they walked through the lower rooms, the sound of several cars stopping outside echoed through the plant.
This building that you can see through the window.
At first, the next noise was only a faint whisper, the steady tap of footsteps and shifting movement above them. Assuming they were about to get caught for trespassing, they quietly moved toward an exit, trying not to alert anyone. But as they slipped through the dark corridors, those footsteps slowly changed into something far more disturbing.
There's someone in here. Slowly, slowly, slowly.
And suddenly, sharp metal crashes echoed through the building, followed by a heavy vibration that rolled across the entire floor.
Where was that? Over there. What happened? What?
In full panic, they bolted toward the nearest exit as pieces of concrete and clouds of dust rained down from the ceiling. The whole structure was literally breaking apart around them. They ran as fast as they could and managed to escape just in time. Later, they discovered the plant had been heavily picked apart by scrappers, leaving the base of the building dangerously unstable. If they had stayed even one more hour, they could have been trapped beneath the collapsing floors. What began as a routine exploration turned into a terrifying reminder that abandoned sites are often unsafe for a reason.